I regard myself as a soldier, though a soldier of peace.
Ever since the time of trading on the Great Silk Road, people have been enthralled with the gifts available in Asia, especially India. From spices to silk, India was a prime target for takeover, and the British did just that. On December 31st, 1600, Queen Elizabeth I of England granted a charter to the East India Company so that they could have a monopoly on the East Indian spice trade. They also expanded their trade across Asia using African slaves and indentured laborers. By the 1850s, the British government was in full power, and over time they had all of India under their control. Britain relied heavily on the exports that they seized from India and claimed them as their own. The Indians would be severely punished and sometimes whipped to death if they chose to stand against these British rules. Displeased with such rulers, the Sepoy Mutiny, or the Indian Rebellion, broke out in 1857, but it ended in a win for the British. At this point, Britain decided it was time to take complete control of India, and thus the British Raj was born. This led to many hardships for Indians. Everyone is forced to work for the British, so many Indians chose to fight for the British instead. Indians continued to live such slavish lives for decades, until an unarmed warrior named Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi stood up for them. Although Gandhi fought for many causes, his nonviolent protests were significant in obtaining independence for India from Great Britain and encouraging others fighting for their rights to do so peacefully. Back then, the conflicts of the world were always solved with war and bloody battles between forces. Millions of innocent people were killed, and a loss meant the downfall of entire civilizations. There was no other way to resist an attacking force until Gandhi revealed to the world the power of non-violence by demonstrating how a physically feeble but spiritually sturdy single man organizing peaceful protests against British rule can succeed. A quick glimpse into Gandhi's early life may help you learn the path of how this innocent, obedient young boy of India had crossed to become the world-renowned leader and inspiring role model for many other civil activists like Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela. On October 2nd, 1869, the future of India in the shape of a man named M.K. Gandhi was born in Porbandar, Gujarat. After school, Gandhi attended University College of London to study law. He found he was disliked by the British as an Indian in Great Britain. Gandhi ignored all this hate directed towards him, and he passed the bar exam, the exam to be a lawyer. He returned to India in 1891 and tried to practice law in India, but his lack of experience made it hard for him. In order to gain experience, he grabbed the opportunity to go to South Africa to settle a commercial dispute. In South Africa, Indians were staggering under the weight of discrimination. When Gandhi himself was subjected to it, he decided to put an end to it. An incident worth noting was on June 7, 1893, when 24-year-old Gandhi was riding first class on a train on its way to Pretoria, South Africa. He was forced to get off the train, even though he had a ticket. When he refused to move, he was thrown off the train. This humiliating incident triggered in him a strong desire to change the plight of Indians in South Africa. So, he established the South African Indian Congress. Determined to put an end to Indian discrimination, Gandhi introduced Satyagraha, a strategy based solely on truth. The first time Gandhi launched Satyagraha was when all the Indians were forced to carry an ID card in South Africa. On January 10, 1908, Gandhi decided to stand against this rule and started burning SID. Word caught on and more Indians began to join in, refusing to register or carry ID badges. The British soldiers gave warnings before they mercilessly shot any Indian who tried to stand with Gandhi. Gandhi was later arrested for breach of legislation and was released after 2 months. After liberating the Indians in South Africa from their pitiable plight with non-violent movements, Gandhi felt he must get back to India. On his return, he was acclaimed as a great hero. Gandhi then established the Sabarmati Ashram, a monastic community. His followers and other leaders joined him there, and they started charting out the struggle for freedom. But unfortunately, on April 13, 1919, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre was set in history by the British. General Reginald Dyer ordered his men to shoot a large group of Indians at a peaceful gathering where there were many people supporting Gandhi. Over 1,000 people died. Enraged by this massacre, a group of Indians turned violent and set fire to a police station when Gandhi organized a non-cooperative protest in 1920. Gandhi was forced to call off the protest. In 1921, Gandhi was given exclusive authority over the Indian National Congress, which he used for his protests. He set in a strict rule that if any violence broke out, he would end his movement. After this act, on March of 1930, Gandhi started a historically important act of civil disobedience, the Salt March. The British had claimed all of India's salt to be theirs, and the Indians had to pay a tax for the salt that they produced and therefore rightfully owned. As a mark of civil disobedience, what Gandhi probably could have learned from Thoreau, the chief of the great American trio, he started on the 240-mile march to Dandi, Gujarat, from his ashram and marched on with confidence. Withstanding the baton charge by the British police, the brave freedom fighters followed Gandhi, maintaining their dignity and solidarity, and completed the march. When Gandhi and his fellow marchers reached Dandi nearly a month after they started, Gandhi took a handful of salt along the shore with his bare hands, thereby producing his own salt. Those fragile bony hands that took the salt shook the foundation, and the mighty British Raj started crumbling. When the British finally realized the failure of their physical strength, they planned to break the spiritual solidarity of the Indians and instigated the Muslims to demand a separate land of their own. That resulted in massive communal and religious riots between Hindus and Muslims in Calcutta. Gandhi went on a fast and the riots came to an end. Scorched by the glow of Gandhi's spiritual strength that manifested the power of non-violence, and the thronging multitudes after him who were ready to suffer, the British Raj finally granted independence to India in 1947. There was celebration everywhere for days, but Gandhi could not rest in peace. Immediately after independence, there were communal riots between Hindus and Muslims. Once again, Gandhi fasted. Since everyone loved and respected Gandhi, thousands of Hindus and Muslims alike visited and begged him to end his fasting. By subjecting himself to suffering, this single man could calm down the uproaring nation and bring about peace. Sadly, on January 30th, 1948, India's father, Gandhi, was assassinated by Nathuram Godse. Gandhi's death was one of many, but one to be remembered forever. Gandhi led India as an unarmed warrior, inspiring great civil leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. to win their battles with peace.
Dr. King called Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolent resistance the only logical and moral approach in the struggle for justice and progress.
I don't think he was setting forth violence as an alternative. I think he was emphasizing, or rather trying to refute an all too prevalent fallacy, and that is that the persons who use the method of nonviolence are actually the weak persons, persons who don't have the weapons of violence, persons who are afraid. And I think that is what Gandhi was attempting to refute. Now, in that instance, I would agree with Gandhi.
Gandhi's philosophy on nonviolence inspired millions of people around the world from all walks of life.
I might not be standing before you today as President of the United States had it not been for Gandhi and the message he shared and inspired with America and the world.
Gandhi was a divine leader to many and earned the title Mahatma, the great soul.
அவரை பார்த்து போய் நம்மளுக்கு ஒரு எங்கேயோ ஒரு கோவிலில் இருக்க அப்படின்னா ஒன்று அவர் மனுஷன் ஒரு தலைவர் அந்த தலைவரை பார்க்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறது.
Today, the world is driven by greed for power, with global conflicts threatening the existence of mankind.
Pyongyang, that's the seat of government in North Korea, warned of a super mighty preemptive strike.
Taliban fighters disguised as soldiers have stormed an army base in northern Afghanistan.
This is the South China Sea. It is also at the heart of a very complicated 21st century territorial dispute.
Gandhi's philosophy of non-violence is more relevant to us now than ever to make the world a better place. The need of the hour is for our world leaders to resolve conflicts peacefully by taking a stand like Gandhi and Dr. King and renouncing violence. Gandhi's powerful weapon of non-violence against the devastating gunpowder of the British is a lesson for the generations to come, and the stand he took will ensure that his name and legacy will live on forever.